Hello YouTube, my name is Josh Bryan with B&B. Today we are going to be discussing the new web client in HP ALM 12. This is something new with ALM 12. It allows the user to use different internet browsers besides strictly IE or Internet Explorer. So it allows the user to use Firefox, Chrome, or Safari. Safari being actually an internet browser inside of the Apple OS X. So that allows just continuation or expanding the available user features inside of the web client. And so it's a very, very powerful tool. Today we're going to be touching on a lot of the things. This is not meant as an in-depth everything it can do. But just kind of the stuff that I like that I think are going to be really, really beneficial to the users. So with that being said, let's hop right into it. This is the home screen when you log in. Now, as you can see, I'm using Google Chrome for this, which isn't traditionally allowed, because traditionally you can only use Internet Explorer. But I want to touch on just these little boxes right here. These boxes all have a learn more icon toward the bottom, and that points directly toward a video that HP has done. And the video is a lot more, these videos, are a lot more in depth than what I'm going to do right now. And I would recommend, if you're serious about trying to learn the features inside of this, clicking on those. I'm just going to be kind of doing a high level what I like again. And then going from there. Okay, one of the limitations of the web client is that it only allows the requirements and defects modules inside of the web client. And there is some slight different functionality between the web client and the desktop client for these features. So let's hop right into the requirements. If you'll notice, the requirements, there's a lot of empty or white space, so it enables, it's easy to see what's kind of going on. So just kind of overview, we have define view over here. We can have it in a hierarchical, which we are right now. As you can see, we can see parents and child relationships going on down. Very, very similar to like a Explorer inside of Windows, or we can do kind of a flat view of just the requirements. So both views have their place and how they're used. I personally, my personal preference is a hierarchical, just because I like to see kind of where things are in the big, the scheme of things. But let me go back to hierarchical just for a moment. So one of the things that I like is the filters. We can add filters and then filter our filters. So let's say I'm going to create an author. We'll have Alex be the author. Okay. So now we have all this. Now one of the things that I do like about the flat view, see this right here where this isn't highlighted? That's because Alex didn't create this, but he created stuff that's down below it, if that makes sense. So he created this, but he didn't create these, but he created these down here. So that's why the icon's a little bit different. It's kind of grayed out. But somewhere down the line in the tree, he's the author of this entity. Now, one thing I wanted to kind of point out is that when you do filters, if you do go back to the flat view, you don't have to be clicking through everything. These are just the requirements that Alex_ALM is the author of. And so I don't have to be rifling through everything, so that is definitely a plus. But let me go back to the hierarchical. one of the things that I like about this, and this is something that you can do inside of the traditional desktop, but I think it's just the ease of use is a little bit better here, and that is having the filters on your filters. So I can do, okay, I want to do requirement type by functional. Okay, and now I just have those functional, authored by Alex that are functional. So these are the 6 or 7 here that are the functional ones that he's done. Once I have the ones that I want to work with, that I'm going to be working with, I can actually save this set of filters as a workspace. Now, as a manager, you can save these and then pass these on to the people underneath you so that you're all on the same page, you're all working with the same requirements. I think this is very, very, very powerful because, as you've seen earlier, we have hundreds of requirements, and all of a sudden with just 2 quick filters we're down to 7. And so if these are the only things we're working on, we're not being bogged down with a whole bunch of other non-essential information. We just focus in on these requirements. When these are done, we can move on. And it puts everyone in a group on the same page. I think that's very, very powerful and should be used as much as humanly possible. Okay, so let me go back here. One of the things it's kind of silly, really quick. I like this right here, just to get this out of my way so I can see what, a little bit more of my screen. Let me do this. Okay. I am looking for something. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of go over the traceability. I personally like the traceability feature inside the web client better than the desktop client. The reason being is that all the same information is here. Actually, I think it's a little bit more information, and I'll explain that in a second. In the desktop client, you're actually dealing with different tabs. Here, you're dealing with one. The downside is that we're not seeing over here. You can see, okay, what release are we dealing with? What cycle are we dealing with? So that isn't being displayed here. I wish it were, just so we can have everything that this entity here is pointing to. But it's very easy to add traceability here. We can add a trace from or trace to this requirement. We can link a defect. And one of the reasons why I think that this is a little bit better than the desktop client is, in just playing around with it, I found an entity. Basically what I was doing is I was having the web client and the desktop client side by side and was looking at the different features. And one of the things that I noticed is that in the desktop client, for a certain entity, it didn't have any of the linked defects that were in the traceability on the web client. And doing a little bit more research, I realized that the defects were actually part of the tests that were run, and that they were linked to the test. So actually the defects that were linked on the page were actually indirect links. I really like that. I think that's a really great feature and something that I wish was a little bit more readily available on the desktop client. Me personally, I think that the traceability inside of ALM is one of the strongest features, and having it just plain cut and dry, this is where it is, and being able to click these different entities and go directly there is just immensely powerful. I personally really, really like it. One of the limitations is that we don't have the rich text editor. So those of you who are really like the rich text editor, that really, like the Word feel of it, the web client, it's similar to Word. There is a lot of white space. It's easy to use, but it doesn't have the rich text editor. So that is a limitation. But, anyways, the thing I want to show you now is the defects view. The defects view is, again, we can add the filters. It is just a straight flat view because there is no hierarchical structure here. I personally like just the usability of the web client and what it is and how it works. I think that does have some limitations, only having the 2 modules, the requirements and defects, not having the tests and the releases. I think that might be coming down the road. We can hope. But anyways, again, my name is Josh Bryan. This was an overview of the web client. It is not meant to be the definitive everything that the web client can do, just kind of the features that I personally liked. I am with Bianaby. If you have any questions about this video or anything else regarding ALM, feel free to shoot me an email at info@bianaby.com, and thanks for viewing.